Howdy, Internet world. Welcome to the RC Air Experience, episode 39. We've got Hank here. I've never met Hank before, and I don't know who he is. So this will be just as interesting for me as it is for you if you're watching this and you have no idea who he is. So welcome, Hank. We also have Anthony from FPV Builds, of course, as well. And this is going to be fun. So, Hank, I see Toledo RC Swap and Expo. So who are you?
Yes, sir. Well, I'm Hank. I run the Toledo RC Swap and Expo with a couple partners, and I guess you could call it probably one of the largest trade shows left, in the country. It's something that you don't see a lot of, but ours has a little different flavor. We're realists, and the ones that were around 20 years ago, they ain't around anymore for a reason. So you got to make change, and that's exactly what we did when we started back up 6 years ago. I had no idea I'd be sitting here 6 years later with this. I thought I'd be rich from doing it. That hasn't worked out yet. So I haven't figured out that rich model, but I'll tell you what, I feel like I'm giving back to the hobby, and that's important to me.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, it is a great event.
Anthony, you go to the event as well?
So believe it or not, Toledo was one of the first bigger events I did as a vendor. My first year that I decided to start selling, I did the smaller CPAA show, which is in Lebanon, which is coming up for me this weekend. And then I had a tiny little booth at Henry's Toledo show. That was 3 years ago at this point now. This is gonna be my third year going to Toledo. And I was just I was blown away because when you compare it to other events that I was at before that, and then you walk into this, dude, it's huge. It's a giant stadium almost. It's a giant room, and there's just
75,000 square feet. It's 75,000 square feet.
75,000 square feet. Yeah. So that's
75,000 square feet.
Yep. And Henry is, I give him a lot of credit. Dude, he is on it, and he's got a ton of vendors, a ton of guests coming through, and he's on his scooter, and he knows everybody, knows everything. And he's got an army of people working for him. It's a big event, dude. It's 2 days. It's a really, really big event. But
I did.
I'm on the website right now.
Last year,
Sorry, go ahead.
Last year, by the numbers, we put almost 4,000 people through the doors. We had over 50 commercial members and professional organizations, over 600 swap tables. And the thing is, it started out the first year, I was just happy that we had a show. Because it was during COVID, 2020, it was tough, man. But it's grown into now this year, we have more vendors than ever. And the thing is, what I like about Anthony, I'm meeting Anthony, is that's what we're looking for. It'd be great to have Horizon Hobby stop by. Ain't gonna happen because this isn't their type of show anymore. But what we have it happen is many small grassroots businesses, mom and pop shops have taken Toledo, and that's been their springboard for something else. Even you, Anthony. I mean, I remember your first year. I remember meeting you. I didn't know you. I loved him right away. Loved meeting his wife. And look at you now. I mean, now you're on the anchor end. You're one of our larger vendors. And you're getting it. And I'll tell you what, that free skies that we'd like to call that's growing too. I mean, that's perfect because you have that type of personality. But that's what it is. It's a good vibe. You go to our show, everybody's happy.
Nice.
And people come to spend money, which makes everybody happy.
And all the vendors work with each other too. Everybody is very friendly and nice and willing to help out. And it's a good atmosphere. It's a good wholesome atmosphere.
I'm just scrolling through the website here. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. And he's got a big announcement.
We're still trying to figure it out. I'm still trying to figure it out. We don't have the right thing. We're just bringing different. Last year we had the car racing. I'm sad to see not bringing it back, but I had to look at the overall show. The car race was fantastic for the people that were there that raced. The problem was my attraction. What keeps those doors open? I mean, that building is $24,000 for the building. That's nothing in it. It's $24,000. That's it. I mean, that's what. And we're an open book. We tell everybody, we literally tell everybody everything because that's the best way to do this. This is, if it wasn't for my family and our group of people, we couldn't do it. And I tell everybody every year on Friday sometime we're happy. You know why? Because we hit the number of people through the door that we aren't going to have to make come out of our pockets. Last year was Saturday, a little late, but that's all right. And so and we do draw some larger vendors though.
Yeah.
What's that?
I was upset about the car racing this year. I was like, damn it, I had such a good time racing. Yeah.
And you
It
know
was
what
so
though,
much
and
fun.
that's what I loved it. But from a
Yeah.
dollar cent standpoint, you know, you contact all the car vendors, and I'm an airplane guy. I've known a lot of airplane vendors for my 30, 40 years. There was no interest from the car people. They said, well, let's see what it looks like. So I made this great video. I mean, it looks fantastic on the video, and I got no different reaction. You know, and
Hmm.
that, I mean, technically, we're a crew of 12 people putting on a show for 4,000 people in a 75,000 square foot place. You know, the car track took up 4 people the whole weekend. 4 and 12,
Wow.
not good numbers. You know, and
No.
I swore to myself last year I wouldn't go back and sell them the swap shop, but I have to because that's my bread and butter. I got to stay up front with the vendors, you know, because I like that personal touch. I like, to me, word of mouth is everything. Commitment, face to face communications. That's where it's at, and I think we lose that sometimes. And
Yeah.
our show is more, I think, very friendly, family oriented. You know,
Yeah.
and like Anthony says, I do have I'm really excited this year because Flight Test is coming to Toledo. And
Hmm.
Anthony and I had a great conversation just before you got on, John. You know, we got to get kids involved,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
and Flight Test. I'm an educator. That's my real gig. I'm a middle
Yep.
school teacher, so I'm very well aware what works with kids. And the Flight Staff STEM is amazing. It's amazing. It's turnkey. I had no idea this year when I finally brought him into my classroom. I'm talking to a guy in Washington. I had no idea. You know, and I thought I was good at teaching and as an educator in the flying world, and I found out something quick. I don't know squat when it comes to STEM because this guy was amazing. You know,
Huh.
he put plans in place. And so at Toledo, you know, Flight Test buying this year, like I do with a lot of people, it's not just money all the time. It's I want stuff. And so it's 100%. They're giving away their easy build, 2 channel airplanes and blimps to kids that go
Yeah.
back to the STEM tent to build. That's what I wanted.
Cool.
That's what's important to us, family oriented. So
Yeah.
that was a big one.
So I
Yeah.
see on the website here. I mean, obviously it's a swap meet, but there's a competition aspect as well too to the whole
Yeah,
weekend.
I haven't figured that one out. I did find something out quickly to make you say there are cash prizes. Shockingly, there's a lot more interest this year. So we had a big sponsor step up, Balsa USA. They've been around for years.
Yep.
They become a platinum sponsor. And when I talked to them, it just made sense to me that, hey, how about you guys? Would you be willing to go ahead? Let me put your name on the static model display because it makes sense. We have some cash prizes this year, but if you look
Hmm.
at how it's structured, it's also so the little guy like myself, I could put something on the table, and believe it or not, I could win too.
Oh,
Because I
nice.
don't want it just to be for those scale build guys. If there's a
Yeah.
component there, I mean, I have 5 judges, nobody knows but me. You won't know because that's how I want it. There is no
Yeah.
affiliations, there's no prejudices. They're just 5 guys.
Yeah.
You know, and they said, well, as long as at the end we can show you the list. I said, you can show it to me. I'm not changing nothing, but great. Because I'm a bias too, and that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm really excited. I got some really good builders coming this year. So hopefully this is the year I figure that out. Because they love the static. I like to fly. A lot
There's
of
some
people like to
beautiful
come look at that
planes.
stuff.
There's some
Yeah.
beautiful planes that people have out, John.
Yeah.
Like there's some really gorgeous stuff. Like you look at some of it, you're like, wow, somebody put a lot of love and time into that plane. And that's like so like where my row is, like I'm like kind of right across from where those planes are, like sitting on tables, and I get to sit there and stare at them. And
Yeah.
there's some gorgeous stuff there, dude. You're like,
Cool.
there's some eye candy at that show for sure. There
Nice.
definitely
Yeah.
is.
Well, hopefully this year we got more eye candy. I got a good feeling. So
Yeah. No, I think it's gonna be. I think it's great that this is
the
coming.
static part is they like it. Yeah. You know, we give away a lot of stuff. Again, we're about the people. So I mean, we have our raffle prize are worth about $12,000 this year, including a $5,000 turnkey AJ Aircraft 103-inch slick
Nice.
with a DA 120. I mean, this is high dollar stuff. Yeah, and it's the way we work that is I go out and solicit people. You know, just like I solicited Anthony for things, either for the raffles or for our Friday night auction, just so
Hmm.
we can bring money back in. There's not a lot of revenue streams in something like this because being in a convention center, they
Yeah.
really control what you can and can't do. We can't have the Girl Scouts come sell cookies. You know, we can't sell food. We couldn't set up a coffee pot and donuts for our vendors.
Yeah.
The
Wow.
vendors thought we were too cheap to. It wasn't true. We couldn't. We wanted to.
Everything's got to be done through
We
the convention center, then
Yeah,
obviously,
and
right?
I mean a
Yeah.
dozen to give you an idea, a dozen donuts at the convention center are $32. I mean, they got to be some fantastic donuts.
They want their money too. So all the food is run by the convention center.
Yeah,
Well,
we can't do
that
anything.
whole
Now a
thing.
vendor could come in. Yeah, a vendor could come in and say, "I sell beef jerky." That's
Yeah.
okay. That's legit. But if they get wind of us or anything, trust me, we tried the first couple of years.
Wow.
Yeah, so all that yummy food, and the concession stand, it's not that bad. It's overpriced. We do have
Right.
beer though. That was my idea. Uh, and there's a little restaurant side, and just to walk away. A lot of these guys have been coming to Toledo for years. It's not the weak signal show. Wasn't meant to
Mhm.
be. It's an RC show in Toledo, like it's been there for 70 plus years. So they all have their own little places to go to. I think another highlight, Anthony, for this year, I hope you guys stop by, is we're doing the auction Friday. That's a whole separate. It's at the Toledo show, but it's its own venue. Advertise it at its own. My team has put together over a dozen ARFs, the plug and play status. Our top ARF got a $2,000 83-inch chipmunk with power systems donated by Lucian from Innovative Designs. And then the entire profits of that airplane, whatever it sells for, it all goes right to the AMA Foundation. The AMA
Hmm.
Foundation will be there at the show because I want people to see whoever spends the money. I want to see them give it to the AMA. I want that. I want that to be seen. And the foundation is key to it. Offers some of the things out there like
Yeah.
the flying field grants or grants for kids. So we try to
Okay.
give back to
That's
it, which
where
is
that
odd
money goes
because
to?
yeah, and we're open about that. People ask, well, how much did you make last year? I tell her, here's our big make last year. Is we paid the show paid for the rooms we slept in. Didn't pay for our food yet, but that's the rooms were paid for last year by the show. My wife thinks that's not so fantastic. She's sitting next to me saying she does not. But we're hopefully this year it's a little better. But again, it's just giving back. It's a place.
It's a lot of
It's a
work to
good
be.
feeling.
That's a
It's a
lot
Yeah.
of
lot of
work.
work, man. But
It
nobody
is.
walks around and doesn't smile. And the
No,
other thing
no,
is,
it's yeah, I
more
agree.
and more they come to spend money, and that's what it's about. I mean, we need our commercial vendors like at PV Builds. We need them. And it's fun to watch these small vendors like Anthony start out with a couple booths. Now I think he
Mhm.
has 8, and he fills it. And people come to him, and I absolutely love the radio trade-in gig. And it's nice because on the Facebook group, I'm not good with social media. I'm getting better. That got 30,000 views. Your
I
the
told
program you gave me the trade-in. That was
I
fantastic.
told I told my wife that, I wanted to talk to you in the beginning of this year about going bigger. And I think she was ready to divorce me at that point. Like she
I get that right now. I'm in Toledo mode. I have that conversation with my wife almost daily. So
was like,
that's all
no,
right.
you went from this to this, like, no, enough. Like
Yeah,
she
you know what's super cool though is your wife is there, and that's like I'm so fortunate because my wife, she runs the raffle booth for me. I mean, our
nice.
raffle last year brought in 10 grand. My other daughter, she's hustles and does 50-50 raffle tickets, and she helps out, and it's family. And I love seeing that. I got AJ Aircraft, they're another big anchor. You got Andrew and Paige are there. Their father passed away, but they're
Yeah.
coming back up,
Heard.
and I mean it's just I
It's
love the
sad.
family. I love seeing people grow
Yeah,
and
it's
have
sad.
fun.
Yeah. I will tell you, Jackie, my wife, is super excited about. Like she loves, and it's a trip for us, dude. Like, we load up a giant
Yeah,
freaking tall
yeah.
top van, we drive from Long Island to Toledo. But she loves the trip. She loves being at the show. Like and she's not very, she'll tell you herself, like she's not very like outgoing like that. But when she gets
Which
there,
shocks me because at the show she is. I mean, she's
she's super
very
happy, and
likable,
she
talkable,
she loves,
smiling.
out of all the shows, she loves Toledo. She loves it. She's excited. She's been talking about it. She's excited to
Well,
go. She's
we'll
got
let her
ideas.
know this year that in the raffle we have things for our ladies too. Something new we're doing
Nice,
this year. So we'll have raffles that she can choose. We'll have a huge
nice.
raffle board, and we're putting there'll be some tough wear and some bath and body work stuff. I mean, you can get it too, Anthony, if you want to, but we're hyping that towards the female
Yeah.
patrons of the building.
So Henry, you've been around. I mean, you're humble before. You're not just the runner of Toledo too. You said you were having conversations with the AMA and stuff. You do a lot of stuff for the hobby in the background too. Like you teach
Yeah,
some
and
of
this
the.
is, yeah, I've been involved with my pops owned a mom and pop hobby shop since 1973. I took it over in 2017, just a shop, but we're very fortunate as a kid, flying field here. So I've been around the hobby for a long time, and I feel that Toledo has given me a voice. I'm not gonna lie to you, I like being big dog on campus. When I go down to Jonal, wherever I go, out to Iowa, we go to Chicago, nobody doesn't know me. I like that. But I also
Right.
feel I'm a good voice, and I understand. And because I'm also a teacher, and you and I were just talking, Anthony, the key to this whole hobby, if we don't figure out how to get all kids or more kids involved, We don't have to worry about it. And I think the AMA, I love working with the AMA. I'm really excited just to let you guys know first here. Tyler Dobbs, the executive director, he is coming to Toledo this year. That'll be a first for us. And, it's nice to see AMA and flight test back in the same building again because I know they had a little falling out. But I'll be honest, politics, I don't care about. What I care about is what's good. And I think they can help each other. And so that's my goal. And Toledo is like the happy place where we can get this done and we get these kids flying.
It's so baffling to me that this generation isn't. Yeah, I mean, you're starting to see it a little bit, and I think social media is helping it out a little bit. And I've said that before, but it's so baffling to me. Like, if I take my 10-year-old son as an example, like that kid was like born with like a PlayStation remote in his hand, right? For real, like that's they live on video games basically, right? And it's like RC is a video game outside. It's like kind of the same thing. It's like kind of the same concept, right? Whether it's cars, boats, airplanes, whatever it is, it's like you're playing a real life video game. So it's to me, it's really I have a hard time not understanding like why this isn't more popular with them because it a lot of them like a lot of those pro drone pilots and stuff. You take them, they came from playing video games first and then put a drone in their hands and they're amazing at it, right? They have the hand-eye coordination from the video games. Like,
So here's something that I just thought about. We've talked about this before. We've
right.
talked about it in podcasts before, and obviously it's something that should be on the forefront of everybody's mind that's in the hobby. But do you think that some of it has to do with kids just not knowing that it's a thing?
I do.
Like there's so much stuff out there.
Well,
They're
not just
so
the thing. It's
like
got to be cool. It's got to, and I think Anthony, you hit on it, social media. Like when Chase Ducey went down and flew at Cletus's place down in Florida, he's got a video out. It's got over 1 million views. It's him flying in the
yeah.
middle of Cletus's racetrack. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The AMA probably doesn't really approve of that situation, but I'll tell you what, that could get somebody involved. And
Yeah.
even drone racing, or now, believe it or not, the drone soccer league, which wasn't a thing 2 years ago, is huge.
Yeah.
Things like that. And I think, like you said, your son grew with a PlayStation controller in his hand. 20 years ago, my dad would be like, put that down. Now it's like, hey, get better at it because you know what? That could become a job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think bouncing off what you said, John, college and career paths, this stuff, and Anthony, you mentioned too, we got to get this stuff into the schools. And it doesn't have to be building a balsa wood airplane like we used to do.
Right.
Because what I found in the hobby shop business, if I had somebody come buy a kit from me and an engine, it was a great sale because they spent a fortune. But I never saw that person
The
again.
finished plane.
Right? I always tried to tell them something that's ready to go. There's no sense in fighting the beast. The beast is here. Even flight tests, if you think of how they've evolved from, build, fly, crash, repeat. Now it's build, fly. Don't forget to put the gyro in Aurora 5 that prevents you from crashing so much. I mean, that's a big step, right?
It
And
is.
and it's I think all those are viable. We have to make a leap. And I also think kids, I mean, being a teacher, going outside. Going
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's huge.
you want some fun. My wife teaches preschool. In their curriculum, they have to teach kids how to run, skip, jump, play.
It's
You know
sad.
why? Because they don't. No,
Yes.
this is for real.
No, dude, I
I
have
couldn't
it.
believe it when she started that. I'm like, why do you have this cute little play center here? What do you guys do? We play. It's called drama. They have to. They don't know how to play.
So I'm actually, from a parenting standpoint, I'm pretty strict with my kids and like the electronics. Up until and they're getting a little bit older. We loosened the grip a little bit on it, but up until this year, it was there's no electronics during the school week. Like that was our rule, and unless you like got 100 on a test, then I'd let you go on like a Wednesday for an hour or so. But it was like very minimal because I wanted them either to do something productive like build Legos or whatever. My daughter loves coloring and painting nails. She makes her own nails, which is awesome. She makes these crazy nails that you would think you'd buy at like a nail salon. I would still rather her do that than just doom scrolling on YouTube or TikTok. You know what I mean? So like I think that like I've met a bunch of parents and kids who like the kid's literally on a video game the second he gets home from school until like 10, 11 o'clock at night, like every day. And that's just like what they do. So if you don't control that, yeah, they're not outside playing. Like, we grew up playing outside and throwing a football around and stuff. Like, it's not like that anymore. You don't see them outside throwing a ball around very rarely. It's a different generation, you know?
That's like it with my middle school kids. I'm 100% digital classroom in our rotations. That's what I do. I teach digital because this is their life. But like every week, I do a lesson with AI. You know why? Because they're using it. I might as well teach them how to use it
Yeah.
correctly and get them
Right.
on the right path. They don't understand the power they have. I mean, can you imagine having this power when we grew up?
Oh
You'd
my
probably
God.
be in jail,
I
right?
say it all the time.
Right? Yeah, I mean,
I
you and
say
your
it
buddies
all
would
the time.
be together all the time eating at 5 o'clock every day before you go back to the cell, right?
I'm
You know, that's
45 and I'm amazed by like what I can do all the time. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm setting up one of those personal assistants, one of those Claudebot things. I'm trying to see if that's going to help me a little bit with my life. And it's wild what that stuff can do. You know, it's just out of this world. So
if you know how to use it, that's the key to all
yeah,
that. And it's funny,
Yeah.
all this goes back to the same thing. All these things get the kids flying, and that's what, believe it or not, Toledo's great for the old people. But you're right. You said we got a lot of gray hairs. The average age is 104. It is, and
yeah,
that's what I'm hoping we can change because we need kids there. And that's the key. But like my wife's preschool class, I couldn't understand why she doesn't let the kids get on iPads, and now I do because you know what? That's their babysitting at home. You
Yeah.
give these kids an iPad, they'll be quiet for 10 hours. But does that really mean that they're learning anything? Now
yeah.
you let them try to bake a fake pizza together and they're killing each other. That's what I'm talking about because they don't know how to play. They don't know how to play. They're in there hitting each other, but they're learning. And now it's amazing to watch the growth of these 3 and 4 year olds.
Well, that's the importance of it too, though. So, like, I've always been into RC my whole life. But when I was younger, I was way more into. I didn't have a great John. We've talked about this before. My
Mhm.
relationship with planes was not great when I was younger. Um, so Henry, I'll tell you the story one day. It
I
ends
am
with my
Pete.
it ends with my dad attacking a plane that wouldn't fly when I was like very young. But I had RC cars that I was the kid with the backpack that I brought a car with me like everywhere. That was my thing. That translated me into like growing up and like working on cars as like a trade, right? So like it's that same thing. Like, they weren't like cars, they can learn about like how suspensions actually work,
Yeah.
how motor and the gears push the car forward. If they crash it, they have to fix it, right? And it's the same thing with planes and all that other stuff. Like, a lot of people who start out young in aviation end up becoming pilots and stuff like that. Like, it's it's something that's needed. And it's the answer is the question is, how do we really get in front of it? It's something I've become more and more cognizant about, I would say. It's something I'm recognizing more and more, and something that really, and I don't know what the answer is. We were talking about this before. Is it, and I'm not knocking flight test, I'm not knocking the AMA, but I think there's a gap between the resources that are currently available right now. Like, I almost feel like there needs to be just one resource that focuses on getting people more aware about the hobby, like John, like you said, and
Mhm.
and then also the regulation, like a true advocate that's not beholden to anything but the hobby for the regulations. Almost like
I agree with that.
almost like an NRA is for guns, right? Like, they politically they don't care about anything. They are beholden to gun owners. Like, that is their core mission. Like, we need somebody who is like 100% core mission is RC and the continuation of the hobby, all aspects, not just planes, because who's to know what all this FCC stuff in the
Uh,
future is? You know what I mean? It could affect, eventually, it could affect car radios and everything. Right now, it's only focused on air stuff, but who knows? Who knows what that leads to down the road? And without anybody advocating for us, I don't know. It's not good.
I think, I totally hear what you're saying. I get nervous about time because, like I told you before we started, where we're going to be in 10 years if we don't get things switched.
Yeah.
And that's the thing to start over. I don't know, but something there has to be a cataclysmic change, I guess we should say, something that's huge, and that's why in Toledo this year, hopefully, we can get the AMA and flight test having conversations. At least, let's say a band-aid, a stopgap, because flight test has the curriculum. They have a program in place. You know, going back to getting kids excited. How when I used to go into classrooms to get kids excited to fly, you know what I showed them? Crash videos. You show kids 15 minutes of really expensive airplanes crashing, you got them.
I
And
have a whole lot of footage for
we go
you.
down to the gym and, fly those beautiful 2-channel air hogs, channel A, B, C, baby, and like 80 air hogs that you charge every, you have to have all the different ones because they fly for
Yeah.
like 2 minutes. That's how it started, man. And so we have to, but you have to get them hooked. Like I'm going to the public schools on my spring break week, the last week of March to get people come to Toledo. And I mean, I'm trying to figure out because I haven't done this in a while. What's going to be my hook in there? They're going to see me in. You got to get them hooked. Thank God I survive middle school kids every day in inner city Cleveland. So I'm a pretty personal guy, but we got to get them hooked. We got to get them to want to come to the show. So I think the keys are free. Take away something worth about $100 free,
Yeah.
and have a good time. And the nice thing about Toledo, they can come build whatever they're going to build, whether it be airplane or blimp, go right 10 feet and go fly it. Now
Yeah.
that's awesome. And they'll have that opportunity, but we got to do something. It's got to change. Like even what flight tests, they're going down to Dayton this year. I don't know if you guys have heard. Flight Test has their huge Flight Fest, which is their big get together every year. They're partnering with that organization called DARPA, the one that gives away millions and millions of dollars for the heavy lift,
Yes.
fully autonomous drones. They're going to be in the same place down at the Dayton Air Force Base. So I don't know how this or Air Museum. I don't know how this is going to look, but it's going to be crazy because you have opposite ends of the world. You have Flight Test, which is literally find a piece of cardboard, hope it holds together, and on the other end you have paid teams working towards this goal of $1 million, and they're all going to be together. But isn't that what we all want anyway? So I'm really excited to see how that
Yeah.
goes.
Again,
Though, it's all the same
flight
thing.
test stuff, even though it is kind of like you said, find a piece of cardboard or foam board and slap it together. So last year at NEAT, I met this kid, and I really took care of him on a plane that he wanted. And he's I think he's like 11 years old. He lives upstate New York, and he's like really into the hobby. Like his parents are like, this kid's like researching stuff online all the time. So over Christmas, he wanted to start putting like FPV on like his planes and stuff. And they asked me about like an FPV. So I hooked him up with a pretty cool FPV setup that he can swap from plane to plane. So he actually, like thanked me and he sent me like a bunch of pictures.
Cool.
And dude, this kid has built some really cool foam board airplanes, and not from planes either. Like he's literally like looked at pictures of planes online, and I was just super blown away. So like,
no, and let me just so you know, I want to make sure I want the stuff they can do with foam board is something I can't do. So I was talking about, but at Toledo this year, we actually have a 3D printed in the static model. We got foam airplanes coming, foam board airplanes coming. Exactly right. That medium I can't do it, but they can.
right.
Amazing. And that's what makes it good. What you just said, Anthony, though, and that's what I like about Toledo is I see a lot of that going on with our vendors.
Yeah.
When you see a kid with a family, the kid wants something, our vendors go out of their way to make things happen, just like you did. That's what's important. It's going back. You have your own kids. You have a family. You understand this. I think sometimes that's where AMA and Flight Test, some of their disagreements is you have a nonprofit and a profit, where, like you said, the NRA focuses on the guns. What's the most important things? It's getting kids to fly.
That's
So that's a great point, Anthony.
We need something
And
like
fly
that.
turbines.
I don't know what the answer fly turbines. I still gotta get a turbine. That's my next step. My wife divorced me at that point.
It's what all the cool guys do, so you should join the club.
I get a turbine.
I flew my first turbine this last summer, and I gotta be honest,
Nice.
I actually had to soul search because I felt so. I always thought I was the man's man flying, and then I met the turbine. And it doesn't fly any different than an airplane, but my head definitely had issues. So the first flight was the most terrifying. I was ready to quit flying. Like after that, though, it went a little easier. But that first flight, I came down like I couldn't stop shaking. I was shaking so bad I couldn't even hold the transmitter.
Yeah, it's funny. There's
my buddy had to tell me, Hank, pull up, because I'm running down the runway. I'm shaking. He goes, Hank, pull up. I'm like.
What I'll often do when I go to events is I have my two Jetty radios, and I'll set up a buddy box. And usually when I go to a weekend event, I'll try and get, a couple people up on their first turbine flight. And it's so rewarding to see these guys that can go out and just like hammer on these prop planes and fly warbirds and stuff. And you get them up on a turbine aircraft. And yeah, it's somebody else's aircraft, but I'm right there ready to flick the switch, right? It's not a big deal. and these guys, their knees are knocking, their
Oh,
hands are shaking. It's
oh,
awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that's
I'm
funny.
sweating thinking about it right now.
Yeah. I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't fly somebody else's. I would have a hard. I couldn't do it. The whole time I would just be thinking about how much money it is. If I
Yeah.
crash the thing, just the whole thing is just it's crazy.
You
It's
just like
crazy,
you just let go of a switch and I take over. It's not hard.
dude. It is crazy to me. I was actually John. I was talking to somebody about you the other day that is not in the hobby. It was a friend of a family member, and they were asking about the store, and I was like, yeah, we have a podcast. My partner in a podcast. You got to see the stuff he does, and he builds these crazy turbines. He's like, and I was telling him like how much some of these planes can go, and he's like, what? People are
Yeah.
flying that stuff like remote control. Like he's like, they're not riding them. I'm like, no, they're toys. They're really expensive toys. They're flying them. They couldn't. The average person can't believe like how much a turbine is.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Well, like the F4 that I just finished from Carf, I mean, that thing, when it's
Ugh.
done and put together and everything, I mean, you're talking about, let's just say 50-ish thousand US, right? 50 to 60, somewhere in that range, fully done.
What kind of
You convert that to Canadian, you're talking about, if it's 50, we're talking about 75,000 Canadian, right? So like the thought of owning one of those is just, it's pretty
insane?
wild.
What
So
do you have behind you? What's back there?
that is my Lancer that just showed up. So that's FTL
Followed you
2.8
home.
Lancer. Yeah.
John's shop is like most people's Graceland. Like you can just walk around and like drool around.
I
his
saw
shop.
some of the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, I need to clarify. I have a Turbinator
Nice.
that was built. Yes, I paid $2,300, and I'm shaking and think it's expensive. So I can't imagine. But I found something out. Guess what? Up is up, down is down, right,
Yeah.
left. So it's
It
but
flies
it
like
is.
a plane. So
I'm glad that you told that little story right there because I feel better because I really, I mean, I was defeated in life, man. I called my wife. I'm like, I think I'm done. I'm done flying. I can't do this. It was tough.
So I know you're a busy guy, Henry, but what do you like? What do you like flying? Like what is your preferred like what are your planes that you like, your go-tos?
Well, to be honest with you, lately, because I started flying at 5, 6 years old, I was helping people fly at 7, 8 years old. I've had a wide range of flying, and once I got up to flying planes that were quote unquote expensive, um, I didn't enjoy it as much because I know when I fly eventually, I will do something that will cause that airplane and the earth to meet. My fault, because I like that, and so what I do now is, we go to all these swaps all over the country, and there's nothing more I enjoy than buying a bunch of airplanes. We bring them home. We either convert them to electric or get them running again and just go fly.
Nice.
I just love to fly, but I guess if I had my druthers, two things, opposite ends. I love speed. I was huge into EDF jets, and I can
Okay.
tell you now that I'm flying turbines, they are true. Once you get bit by the turbine bug,
yeah.
heaven help us all. I don't know if I have a flash in my future or not, but I love turbines. I love the speed, but I also love the grace of evening and night flying with large, slow, lit up airplanes. I love
Yeah.
sitting there. I enjoy it, and I like helping kids fly. I
Yeah.
guess I do that too, but no helicopters for me unless it's like if it's a fly wing, maybe. I'm pretty good with my old, my Airwolf. But yeah, I like. I wish I didn't like the turbines because I know what's coming, but I do. So
Let me ask you a question. I've only tried to teach my son how to fly. Do all kids just hammer down on the throttle and just try to keep the thing like pointed to the moon? Because that's what he
well,
does every time he starts flying, and I'm like, dude, I gotta like reel him in.
yeah.
Like,
Here's the thing, man. With the cool thing with the technology today, I mean, I remember even with someone from the shop, these airplanes, everything's got a gyro in it, and
Mhm.
literally anybody can go fly. It's not a great idea when Horizon's selling their 90 millimeter Viper that was safe, which means you can take that off and fly straight. But there's a problem. Eventually, you got to come back to that same field, right? And that usually doesn't end well. But yeah, that's normal. I mean, let's be honest though. I like to go full throttle too. I have two throttle settings, full, and I know if I push harder, I can get something more out of this thing. So yeah, that's a normal thing. The nice thing with the gyros is how they bang bang, full left, full right, and you have to teach them how not to do that. But you're normal. And I tell you what, being a dad teaching a son, is there anything more terrifying? mean, that's the hardest thing to do is teach a son or an airline pilot, one or the other.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I get a little frustrated sometimes. The last time we went
Does,
flying, he lost his plane in a tree, but yeah, we'll start
does he
over.
enjoy it? Does he like flying?
He does. He does. So I actually built him his own little FPV glider. Um, it's the FMS. It's got the Swiss emblem on the thing. It's got the weird wings that have the little.
Isn't it one of the ass?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a cool little plane. It's actually back there. So I started out getting him and my daughter into it by taking them for what we call like ride-alongs. So I had a spare pair of goggles. So I would do a flight and put them in the goggles. And then that transitioned to me standing like behind them and we're both on the goggles and I would have my hands over them and then we would fly like, under the goggles and they really enjoy that. So this year I've had him pretty much on those little mini warbirds or like the UMX style planes.
Dude, the Rage is killer, yeah.
Right. So I've had him doing that. And this year he'll finally do like his own like FPV flight on his own plane. So it's gonna be, we'll do that this summer. He's like I said though, it's the control actually comes pretty natural to them because they're, playing with, game controllers. So it's it's a little different because the sticks are a little bit longer and stuff, but the overall hand-eye coordination, if they can play video games, they can do RC like that. Like it's super quick. Right. With cars, like he's awesome at like we go out and we're always arguing old versus new because I have a Blackfoot and he's got a Traxxas Bigfoot and we're always going out and bashing with those. But he drives circles around me sometimes with his Blackfoot, with his Bigfoot. I'm like, this kid's getting pretty good. He's 10 years old, so yeah.
I did a little FPV. I don't do a lot of it. John, any FPV with the turbines? I'm kind of curious now.
So it's something that we've wanted to do. The problem is in the US and Canada, it's not allowed.
Right. No,
is that an AMA rule or is that an
I think it's an AMA rule.
Just remember 199 miles an hour is also a limit.
Yeah.
John, according to the rules of the United States and Canada. So keep that in mind.
We don't have speed limits here, so we're pretty fortunate.
Fantastic. We do down here.
You got to go fly there, Henry.
But I tell you, a lot of the planes I put together, they easily do 300 miles an hour. But as soon as they cross the border to the new owner, they're limited.
199.
Yeah, you dial them back a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
They put a governor on.
I was thinking about your full throttle comment, Anthony. We've had a lot of our recent new pilots over the past 5 years have been from the pylon racing world. So there's lots of pylon racing guys that have gone into turbines now. And it's pretty funny watching them learn for the first couple of years because when you're pylon racing, like there's no throttle, right? It's basically full throttle. And that's what these guys do. It's just full throttle. And you'll see them ripping their plane around, pulling hard all over the place. And it's like, you do have a throttle stick. So it's one of those things that actually takes them quite a while to learn. So
pylon racing is fun to watch, though. It's a blast to watch.
That was the only time I ever got to fly in an AMA sanctioned NATS is when I was 14, 15. I flew pylon. I did quickie 500s back in the day.
Yeah.
So I think that might be my love for speed, but I can totally see how that doesn't translate real well in the beginning to jet flying. Or maybe it does. I guess it depends on what you call it.
It does, but it depends on what you're flying for sure.
Right?
That's funny. That is funny stuff. So, Henry, we'll wrap up in a few. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys. I'm really going to look under the lighter side. I'm not familiar.
You're going to get sucked into the vortex for sure.
So
this has not been a good night for me. Turbines, the lighter side, 300-mile-an-hour jets. Fantastic.
Once you watch John's channel, two things will happen. A, you'll become like extremely jealous. And B,
I'm already there, bud.
Yeah. B, you're just going to get hooked. Like, that's it. Like, so I started watching him, I don't know, probably, I remember I told you, it was your video where you had the L39 in the garage with your wife.
It was like 6 years ago. 6 years
ago. Yeah. And I was just into regular like airplanes and I stumbled across his channel and then I started seeing what he was building and stuff. And I'm like, I can never afford any of this stuff, but it's really cool watching him like build this stuff. And I'm like, yep, I'm hooked. That's it. So I watch all of his build videos, and it's wild. The stuff is wild.
Thank you.
It's crazy.
Yep, I can't wait to see that, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about the show a little bit too.
No, so that's the important thing, right? Like, so you're doing a lot of good for the hobby with the Toledo show and everything that Toledo's doing. So we'll get this video out there. Hopefully, it'll bring a little bit more attraction to Toledo.
And also, Anthony, just so you know, the show's only popular because, or it's getting better because of people like you too, and even you, John. We're all in this together. I tell everybody that. The only way the show keeps going is you got to keep showing up. And the only way that happens is we got to have a product to show up to. So we're all in this together. But hey, you know what? We're gonna have fun doing what we do, right?
That's it. That's what it all comes down to. And get the next generation.
Miles an hour.
99 miles per hour. Yeah, no. It is a great, for anybody thinking about going. It is just a great environment. And you walk in, it's a nice big bright room.
Cool.
I mean, you can find anything there with all the swap tables and all the vendors and everything. Like, you can find
there is anything there. That's
that's
the weird thing. In the back, you can buy a dollar something or a $10,000 jet. It's just amazing at the variety of what we have. Cool. We got some things coming this year that'll be at auction. I mean, we have some really special things that, there's thousands of dollars. That's not the norm for Toledo either, but we're doing it this year. So just, stuff that's out there and odd. So thanks again, Phil. I really appreciate the time, guys.
Flight test. The flight testing is a great. I was upset about the cars, but then when Henry was like, "Listen, there's no car racing, but flight test is gonna be there," I was like, "All right, you win. I can't argue with that."
The first organization I talked to was Flight Test. That's not true. AMA is our largest partner right now. But I talked to Flight Test right away because Hank and Toledo, we don't care who fights with who. I want to put out there what's best for and what's going to draw people in. And when it comes to STEM and the kids, which is the most important thing as far as I'm concerned, Flight Test is where it needs to be. So I just hope that I can help get kids and drive kids there. And I think I will. I think my team will. That's what we're working on. And Anthony, you can go back there too and do a little build, a little flying. It might not be what you're used to. There's some really nice, easy builds back there.
I'll go back there, have some fun, and then maybe hopefully next year we'll get some kart racing back, and so I used to race when I was younger. So like the racing because I'm gonna be at Toledo anyways. So like the racing was like kind of like in the evening after the show, so it didn't take away from me working at the show. It just brought back like childhood memories of like racing. You know what I mean? So it's fun. It's all good. So
I can tell you this: it's not gone. It's just on the back burner right now. So we got some ideas maybe for next year. Thanks again, fellas. I appreciate it.
Henry, thanks for coming on. John, always a pleasure. And we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.